everybody, I'm back. What? I said I'd come back on Thursday. Is it? Yeah, it's, well, I mean, it's a Thursday. Look, you should have seen the line for milk. It was crazy. Guys, I hope I'm not speaking out of line here, but Ubisoft ain't looking so hot. The company wants to slash around 18% of the staff at its Paris headquarters as part of a sweeping major reset aimed at stopping the company's ongoing collapse. Thanks to France's extremely strong worker protection laws, these layoffs depend on both the workers' union and French authorities agreeing to the plan. But if their tete-a-tete goes well, roughly 200 jobs are on the line. Ubisoft may have an argument for the necessity of layoffs. The company just canceled 6 games and closed 2 studios as it struggles to stay competitive. They really should have just stuck with the Red Steel franchise. At least those games made sense. Ubisoft workers in France have already voted to strike, accusing leadership of mismanagement, constant strategic whiplash, and burning through talent while executives don't really do much to help. But worst of all, Insider Gaming's Tom Henderson said on his podcast that the Watch Dogs franchise is effectively dead? What? No! Not my dogs! Heck, Ubisoft has been canceling so many games, they forgot to tell actress Iman Ayaz, who spent 3 years working on the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, that it was canceled, despite having filmed marketing material for the game just 2 months ago. She found out from reading it online. This would imply that somehow news outlets are finding these things out before the people Ubisoft actually employs. Quick! We can use the dagger of time to go back and email our agent. There's lots of other things useful things we could do too, but you may have heard news this week about Highguard, the debut PvP raid shooter from Wildlight Entertainment, a studio built by veteran developers from Apex Legends, Titanfall, and Call of Duty. That's quite a pedigree. So why did it launch on Monday to mostly negative reviews? The studio is blaming the negative reception on somewhat of a bungled release. They had originally planned to shadow drop the game, like Respawn famously did with Apex Legends. That went well. But the spirit of enthusiastic dorkhood, aka Jeff Keighley, liked the game so much he offered the developers the coveted one more thing last spot at the Game Awards. And who could pass that up? I mean, I would take that spot, and I don't even have a game. I'd just stand there and say, "Wow, this is awesome. I love you, Jeff Keighley." And he'd say it back. Unfortunately for Wildlight, the Game Awards trailer didn't explain the unorthodox gameplay very well and left most viewers somewhere on the spectrum between confused and underwhelmed. And if that wasn't enough, the studio went effectively silent for the 43 days between the Game Awards and Monday's launch. Studio co-founder Dusty Welch stated that they didn't make any more announcements because they were focused on development and they wanted the game to speak for itself. And speak it did. Highguard launched to a peak of 97,000 concurrent Steam players and only 37% positive reviews. According to some, though, the community might be jumping the gun on dumping on the game because many of these reviews come from people with less than an hour of playtime. And if you were to filter to people who played the game for more than 3 hours, the reviews become 76% positive, conclusively proving that people who like a game will play it for longer. Now that's science. Player complaints ranged from server instability to maps being too big for the 3v3 format. Things aren't over for Highguard though. The devs say they're listening to feedback and working on patches, with a new patch for the game dropping today. So, as they say in the world of Highguard, onwards shall your team... I don't know what they say in Highguard, I'm sorry. I don't think anyone does. That's the problem. Marathon, the next game from Destiny and Halo creator Bungie, will launch in about a month on March 5th. Bungie announced the new Marathon in 2023 as a resurrection of the studio's shooter trilogy from the 90s. In 2024, financial troubles led to the loss of about a quarter of their staff, and the game's 2025 alpha was overall disappointing. People weren't really feeling extraction shooters, especially if it was going to be another one of these studio renowned for story-rich campaigns is driven to live service multiplayer. See Anthem, see multiple Ubisoft games, etc. Alpha players requested a delay, and Bungie, actually listened. It gave them time to reach a resolution with the artist whose work was plagiarized for the game and replace the game's creative director. But also in that time, another extraction shooter has breathed life into the genre, Arc Raiders. You may have heard of it. And instead of blocking Marathon's success, there's a chance that Arc Raiders has whetted players' appetite for an extraction shooter that leans more heavily towards PvP than PvE combat. But even if Marathon flops next month, it was all worth it for these stunning character designs and trailers courtesy of art director Joseph Cross and Emmy-winning animation wizard Alberto Mielgo, who defined the whole look for the Spider-Verse movies and a bunch of movies out of it, guys. So even if Marathon dies, it'll be aura farming to its last breath, which is not the primary purpose of games. It should be fun, like the games you can play on our sponsor, HTC's Viverse. You know, sometimes I feel a little bit like Bilbo Baggins. I just want to yell at my nosy neighbors, "I'm going on an adventure," as I run off into the world. But then I realize I can have an adventure in my own home with HTC's Viverse, where it's easy to jump into these interactive 3D worlds. I really like ducklings.io because I enjoy going on a slice of life quest as a duck. Whether I'm on my VR headset, laptop, or even my phone, I can just go to worlds.viverse.com and start playing. No sign up, no downloads. From discovering real world locations to educational spaces and amazing art, there's something for every nerd and gamer. Plus, if you're a creator, it's super open and developer friendly. Honestly, it's like a playground for imagination across any device, and no nosy neighbors. Check out HTC's Viverse in the link below and go on an adventure of your own.
Sorry. I forgot that reading gaming news is thirsty work. I need a little stat boost to do the quick bits.
Best alternative milk, by the way, not a sponsor. Valve was sued for £656 million in the UK over allegedly unfair Steam prices back in 2024, and a tribunal just ruled that the class action can proceed to trial. In the UK, it's called a collective action, because they have to have special words for everything. The case that has these limey lawyers so steamed up claims that Valve is forcing game publishers to sign price parity obligations, which prevents titles from being sold cheaper on rival platforms. According to the suit, this lets Steam charge an excessive commission of up to 30%, which, it must be pointed out, is and has been the standard platform commission for a lot of things for a long time, but that doesn't mean we can't change it. That's how America was born. And see how that turned out? Maybe we should leave it. Xbox says it wants to be more consistent about launching its first-party games on the PS5 after a year of being kind of back and forth on the subject. They said they'd put Halo on that console, but it's not there yet. It's making me go war. Like the elites, like the guy, you know. Xbox Game Studios boss Craig Duncan admitted the rollout has been uneven, with some games launching day one on PlayStation and others showing up months later, depending on when plans changed mid-development. The goal now is clarity, consistency, and reaching more players. A prime example being the new Fable that reportedly will be available on PS5. I think it's cool that Xbox's promise to fans is the same one I make to my lady every 6 months. We need you to show up more consistently, not just big gestures when you realize you forgot my birthday. I'm sorry. EA has trademarked FC The Grounds, hinting that EA Sports FC 27 might be getting an open world mode. Basically, FIFA is doing the whole WWE 2K The Island thing. Except instead of proving you're the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, like Bret the Hitman Hart did successfully, you're notoriously unfaithful soccer player Kyle Walker, and your mistress is threatening to tell your wife unless you buy her a new Ferrari. EA Sports, it's in the game, and also the rest of the world, which includes the game. Despite the Nintendo Switch eShop having somewhat questionable guidelines on what counts as too lewd, Nintendo has apparently decided that narratively justified superhero nipples is where the line must be drawn. The new Switch and Switch 2 versions of character-driven superhero game Dispatch are censored by default with no option to turn it off, meaning all nudity, and funnily enough, middle fingers too, get slapped with giant black bars. The game's developer Ad Hoc told Eurogamer that the core narrative and gameplay experience remains identical, explaining that they worked with Nintendo to meet platform criteria, which is fascinating considering Conker's Bad Fur Day once had promotional condoms and matching urinal mats. What happened, Nintendo? I could go for urinal mats. Resident Evil Requiem releases in just under a month, and apparently, there's a reason why this time around Leon Kennedy is a snack. According to director Koshi Nakanishi, female Capcom staff were on a mission to make sure the older and more weathered Leon Kennedy lived up to their expectations. And in my opinion, they succeeded. If they wanted to make him look like the kind of guy who forgets to bring his wallet to dinner. Oh, can you get this, babe? I know it's your birthday, but I promise I'll pay you back. In an interview, the director stated that women at the studio were pretty strict when reviewing his design, pointing out and commenting on even the finest details, like the wrinkles on his neck. I didn't even know women cared about that, but you know, there's probably a whole subculture of TikTok edits about neck wrinkles. Nakanishi said it wasn't just about Kennedy's looks, he actually got more opinions on Leon's personality, with staff telling him things like, Leon would definitely not act like that in this kind of situation. You just don't know him like we do. Leon would definitely put some cream on his wrinkles and then come back next Thursday for more gaming news. We're doing these once a week to start with, so find out what they say in Highguard, let me know, and then maybe we'll do more.